today's podcast, we're going to talk about a great opportunity to learn football and support a great cause, as well as how time and score really affect the game. And joining me to discuss those things is John Luce, Associate Head Coach and Linebackers Coach at Army West Point. John, always great to talk ball with you.
Hey, thank you, Keith. Thanks for having me. I'm always excited to do it.
Coach, we're going to get into the topic of time and score and how they affect things. And I just finished watching a game here between the Browns and the Jets. And I'll tell you, there was a point in that game where I thought, what are you doing, Jets? You could be under 3 minutes to go here if you just would have called the runs. We'll get into that one. But before we do, we have an incredible opportunity, I think, one of the best clinic lineups ever put together. But it also supports a great cause in supporting Lawrence First and Goal Foundation. And it's coming up here January 14th through 17th. So, John, talk to us about the clinic and everything that's gone into it so far.
Well, obviously you and Coach Tu have been a huge impact on this. We're really excited to match up with pair up with them to do this. And, our camp, we had run camp since 2004 called Lawrence First and Goal football camps. And we had run over 20-something of them. And but all the money goes to pediatric brain tumor research and cancer services. Lauren is my daughter, who's not a kid anymore. She's 23 years old and has battled spine and brain tumors and spinal tumors her entire life. And has a condition called neurofibromatosis or NF1. So, she's had a lot of different ailments she's fought, and I'm really just touching the tip of the iceberg with what I just mentioned. But anyway, there's been so many coaches that have helped out with the camps over the years. And, Lawrence First and Goal, most of them have been at Lafayette College. One day charity football camp. We'll have as many as, we're usually between 1,800 and 2,100 kids from really all over the country at this point. So it's been a great camp, but like all these camps, they got blown up by COVID. So, trying to come up with something, and you, Keith, actually came up with the idea of doing a virtual live clinic to raise money for Lawrence First and Goal, and that's what we're doing. So we're really excited about doing this.
And John, the response by the coaches who are getting involved in this has been incredible. Pretty much we've heard yes across the board from anybody who we've reached out to. And as I said before, just an incredible lineup of coaches from the college level, because, you've always had the college level coaches volunteering at Lawrence camps. Again, from small college all the way up to the FBS level. Talk to us about the response as you've reached out to people and they've become involved.
We've had well over 1,000 coaches volunteer at the Lawrence First and Goal camps. And, so it was easy. I mean, I kind of, started to slow down asking guys. In fact, there were so many people that reached out to us that, we're filling up spots. So we had to slow down a little bit. But whoever I texted or called was essentially immediately said they were in. So, the first person I called was Dan Quinn. I've known Dan Quinn for a long time. I mean, brought the Atlanta Falcons to the Super Bowl and has been a very, very successful coach as a coordinator, and as a football coach and the whole thing. So I texted him the first day I think we decided to do it. And he said, I'm in, and immediately picked a time. So, then I walked down the hall and I talked to Jeff Monk and our head football coach. And, we're no slouch. We're 9-2. Our kids got a chance to, if we beat West Virginia, that'll be the third 10-win season in 4 years. And there was one of those that I was here for in 96, since we started playing football. So in 1890. So it's pretty impressive there too. So, then I reached out to, Greg Schiano, said yes. Reached out to Luke Fickle, said yes. Reached out to Mac Brown, said yes. And those are the head guys. But, when people go onto the site and they start looking at the number of coaches there, it's an unbelievable response. The other day I was in the weight room just getting a quick workout, and I thought, I'm gonna text Chris Ash, defensive coordinator in Texas. And he texted me right back. He goes, "Yeah, I'm in. told her, love to do it. And texted, Brett Pry at Penn State just the other day and said, yeah, I'd love to do it. I'm in. So really about every single person we've reached out to do it has jumped on board. So, it's a great group. I mean, Kyle Flood sent a whole package of stuff to Lauren the other day from Alabama, O-line coach at Alabama. Mike Elko, defensive coordinator at Texas A&M. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on.
It's a deep list. Yeah.
No doubt. And most of them, I mean, I look at the list like Adam Fuller, defensive coordinator at Florida State. I mean, most of these guys, if I reached out to them personally, and I know you reached out to a bunch of guys too, they worked at camp, some of them multiple times. So they were very familiar with what Lauren's first and goal is.
I know as you and I sat down and started putting the concept together, it was, on our side, we wanted to make sure that we had everything covered for the coaches who would attend this virtual clinic, that, we had enough offensive guys, defensive guys. There's the right balance there, special teams. We have strength and conditioning coaches. And then when you look at the spread of position coaches across every position, we've really looked to keep that balance and make sure that we have something for every single coach on a coaching staff.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we have some great strength coaches. So I thought about that one day that, the high school coach in particular, and a lot of the small college guys too, I mean, they're their own strength coach. So I know our guys and reached out to some guys that I knew really well that do a great job with this stuff. But I mean, they handle every part of it, the nutrition, the speed development, the flexibility. I mean, all of it. So there's, some great strength coaches in there, and I think that'll be helpful. Even Clayton Kendrick Holmes, our operations guy, which that's a job now. When you're the operations guy at Army West Point, that is a big job. And, he asked me the other day, he goes, can I do something? I said, absolutely. So he's going to talk about the operations side and all that. So I do. I think the offense, the defense, the special teams, and I mean, it's a big time lineup now. You would never, if it wasn't for COVID, you could never have a clinic lineup like this where everybody would fly into town. I mean, it would be impossible.
That's the truth. And it's great to see all these guys jumping on board. And, we talked a lot about making sure that this was offered at a price that was really affordable for all coaches. So it's somewhere around 160 speakers. Right now, you and I are recording this on Sunday afternoon. So there's 5 days left. And I think by the time this airs, maybe there'll be 3 on the early bird special, which is $49 for a single pass, and for a staff pass or 5 coaches, get 5 coaches together, it's $30 a coach, $150 for that staff pass. And, it's something, again, I know there's a lot of free stuff out there and coaches who do things all over the country, but, what I would urge coaches here is to please get involved in this one because it's really supporting a good cause and something that has been drastically affected by COVID.
No doubt. In fact, while we're doing this taping, Bob Wiley's trying to buzz in right now. He's as famous an O-line coach as there is. So he's going to speak at it too. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's such a great deal. We all go to these clinics. I mean, you're going to spend $50 for lunch and dinner, and I actually got on there the other day, and I bought the $199 package where you get access for a year, which to me, that's the best package there is.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, the $49.99, you're going to get the access to the end of the month, correct? And,
that's right.
So you can go back and look at it, which is a great deal. But, the $199, I'm going to go back and, I got a feeling we're going to be hanging around the COVID for a while, unfortunately. So you're going to have time to do stuff. And I'm really anxious to have access for it so I can go through all the clinics. And, that's how you learn. People think if you're a defensive guy, you just listen to defensive guys, but I never thought that. I thought it's the other way around. I want to learn as much as I can for the offensive guys, because they're the ones that it might be a little thing for them, but, for you being a defensive guy, it can be a huge deal that helps you.
Absolutely. And, I'm thinking if I'm a younger coach just getting into this, I have the opportunity not only to learn the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball. We have some incredible position coaches. And, I the other day I think I just tweeted out something about the tight end fullback coach group we have there. Just an incredible lineup with those guys. Like, if you are interested in that, you got 6 right now. There's 6, and we still have some spots here to tie up in this last week or so to close down all of our speakers. But whatever position you look at, it's again the guys who just do an outstanding job teaching this game, and you're gonna learn a lot at every position. And it's something. A lot I've seen that specialization in young coaches today, that if you're an O-line coach, you're going to go do that, and you might, learn that one side of the ball for an off season. But now you take this clinic, and especially if you got the 199 pass and have that for a year, there's a lot of ball to learn and really upgrade yourself as a coach and a professional.
No doubt. I mean, I can't wait. I can't wait to listen to Kyle Flood. I mean, I'm looking at the list. I mean, Jim Knowles at Oklahoma State is the defensive coordinator. Dave Patnode at Georgia Tech, who I've competed against a bunch. I visited with Brent Pry a bunch because of proximity of Penn State and the Army, West Point. Joe Moorhead, offensive coordinator at Oregon. I mean, I'm really looking forward to, hearing these guys talk. I mean, the list just goes on and on. I mean, Matt Mummy. Obviously everyone's heard of his dad. He's a famous coach, but there's just so many guys in here. And, here's the other thing too, is that people might not realize is every one of these coaches is volunteering their time too. And, as it's not just an hour. I mean, you spend hours getting the actual clinic ready. You're putting together cut-ups, you're putting together slides, you're doing all this stuff. So, it always shows a lot to me that these coaches come through and, we're not paying them a couple $100. They're all volunteering their time. So it's really nice of them to step up and help us out like that.
No, it's been great. I'm excited about this. And, I really think I've seen what this has done, not just to your organization, but to people across the country. And so I know the work you guys do. And, it's not like you guys are some pass through and there's a bunch of administrative fees taken out of these donations. You guys get it right to the people who need to do the research and directly to the people who need help in the cancer services side of this.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we've given away, I think it's right now at about $2.6 million, and obviously, took a hit without having the camp this year. So we're hoping to continue that because we've helped so many families over the years that, their daughter or son is not just a brain tumor, but diagnosed with cancer. And we really just help them get back on their feet because it's a big blow when you got to go to the doctor all the time or stay in Ronald McDonald House or, if you're less, a lot of people can't even get that done. So it's just, it really does help the families. And then obviously they're making big strides in the research over the years too. I mean, that part's amazing too, how much has changed since we started this in 2004. So it's all good. We've never paid anybody. We've never taken any money from it. It all truly goes, after we pay our expenses, it all truly goes toward our mission.
And again, that is January 14th through 17th. It's at lfgf.coachesclinic.com. I'll put the link here in the show notes. The show notes can be found at coachingcoordinator.com or right there in the description in whatever app you're using to listen to this on your device. So, Coach, let's get into talking some ball here. And the topic you and I started talking about the other day is just time and score in a game. And I've seen it more and more, not just at the highest levels, but even now high school coaches really paying attention to that and even relying on analytic tools to help them out in the process.
No doubt. I mean, there's some crazy games just last night. I mean, you look at the Las Vegas Raiders, how that game ended, and it's amazing, and how the bowl game, ended with Liberty versus in that bowl game. So Liberty had a huge win, obviously, over an undefeated team that had a great year. So, but it really came down to the time and managing the clock, and it's just amazing just some of the stuff that happened. Well, I just I see it in many games that I've been involved with, and that's what I was saying the other day, is that score and time matter. I mean, it makes a huge difference. For one, it's way easier to play defense and offense and probably not take chances when you're winning, not taking the chances. I mean, I've been involved in games where, the head guy might be screaming, hey, we're going to give up a score here, but we're winning by 3 touchdowns and we're doing everything we can just to make sure that it happens really, really slowly. You don't want to give up a score at the same time. If they don't hit chunk plays on you, you're not going to lose. There's just not enough time.
Right.
And, all those factors matter. And we played in one this year, and I won't point out exactly, but, we won that game. And I just remember looking at the time and looking at the score. They were winning, and they got 2nd and 2, and there's not very much time left on the clock, and they take a shot. They take a shot, and we intercept that ball. And I remember watching it thinking, holy cow, you're going for the knockout ball as opposed to just trying to win the game, and the object is to win the game. And, because if they get the first down, there's another 40 seconds, and then another 40, and another 40, and another 40. And, the other factor is too, what kind of offense are you defending? Mm-hmm. And what kind of offense do you have? Do you have a team that can grind it out, or are you playing against a team that doesn't have the, quick strike ability? If you just keep it all in front of you. So those things matter. You see teams all the time. They lose a game they really should have won because they maybe took a shot. Kid runs out of bounds. I can think of so many scenarios over my, I think it's 34-year career now that are. It's just it's mind-boggling the things that happen. Where if you get a first down and you just if you just lay it on the ground, that we're probably gonna win the game. Instead, you score, mm-hmm. and you put them back into that. Oh my God, they scored and then they got the onside kick, and you put yourself in those positions you really don't need to.
That's exactly it. And we have forever had those little charts. They used to hand them out on like business card size cards at clinics, and on one side it was the go for 2 chart, which obviously that doesn't necessarily apply universally anymore as people get more and more into analytics. And then it was how much time you could run out based on how many timeouts the opponent had. But truthfully, there's points in the game that you might want to think about shutting down the passing game, and it's not going to be you're not going to get style points maybe for how you finish a game, but you just know based on the amount of possessions that you're probably going to get and watching the clock, here's how much time we can take off the clock and still win this football game, barring any turnovers or, like you said, an onside kick. And I've seen, 2 times here in Cleveland, and I'm sure the fans would go crazy, but the Browns got up big in the game and just played so conservative, and you could see the other team coming back, but there wasn't that sense of, panic where, oh, geez, we got to do something different. You could tell they were just looking at it and understanding the analytics, the time, the score, and what was left, that we may only win this game by 3 after being up huge, but we're going to win this game. And ultimately, you can't forget that's what matters. You have to win that ball game.
Yeah, there's no doubt, because you wish right now if you're the Cleveland Browns, you had one more win. So you're right. And now if it's one less win, you have no shot next week. So you're exactly right. The scenarios you see, but you can't prepare for everything, but you can prepare for a lot of it. You really can. I'll give you another scenario. Like this has happened to us a couple times. So we had a code word that we would use on defense, which meant this. Let's say you're losing the football game. It's 3rd and 6. And if they get a first down, they're going to take a knee and the game's over. Okay. So that scenario comes up, and it's amazing how many times that somebody lets them catch a slant ball right in front of them, or they got a deep pedal safety and the quarterback does a read play or a run play to gain the first down, then they run out the clock. So, to me, you have some kind of word that just means, hey, listen, no matter what, we're going to stop them on this play. We're going to, if they're going to throw a slant or a hitch or an out, we're going to jump the first cut. Does that make sense? Like if it's an out and up, a hitch and go, slant and go, goodbye them. Because if they score, you got a better chance to win it anyway. They're going to take a knee, right? So you have to make it all or none. And usually teams will run it in that scenario. But again, I can think at Lafayette College, and that's what really made me work on it after that. It was about 3rd and 6 or 7, and they threw a perfect slant in there. We had pretty good coverage, but he covered it the exact same way he would have if it was, 12 minutes left in the game. Does that make sense? As opposed to just out and out jumping the cut. And we played Colgate years ago, and I remember the same thing. And they hadn't thrown the ball very much at all, but he did a sprint out cut toward the very end of the game to get the first down. And if you don't do something to teach your kids and practice it, they don't understand. They're just trying to win that down, but they don't understand that, hey, I've got to jump that out cut. I got to jump that slant, and I got to flat foot my safety and play zero coverage where, now I got enough guys to knock down every run play. So it comes down to those scenarios, because it's unreal how many times that a team they run it, and again, they're in cover 2, or, which is the worst scenario. You got 2 high safeties, and it's like, they're not going to throw it here. They because even if they punt it, they're better off. But again, all those scenarios matter. And then, I can remember we lost a game to Duquesne one year where the running back broke about a 35-yarder. And if he stays in bounds, we're going to win the game, but he gets run out of bounds. And, it's amazing the stuff you do. And I can think of scenario after scenario where, we beat Penn one year, like 9-7, I think. And, we called timeout as fast as we could on 4th down to kick a field goal. I see that all the time. Like, you're going to kick the field goal anyway. It's 4th down. Let it run down to nothing. And we literally scored. We almost got a celebration penalty, but they had a time to run a few plays after that, whereas we could have ran it down to nothing. You've got to truly understand the scenario of how to use as much clock as you can when you're winning and use as little as you can when you're losing.
Absolutely. And I think, the offensive side of the ball, I had some time back, Coach Rob Ash, former head coach at Drake, who worked with Championship Analytics now, talking about the offensive side of the ball and making sure there's situations where you don't score, right? And we saw that twice in a weekend this year. We saw it once on a Saturday and then on Sunday, that exact situation. And the defense was, doing their best to let them score. And, the running back kind of just had that lapse and went into the end zone. You always know it's not a good thing when the other team is celebrating your touchdown. So they both knew that they kind of had messed it up. And yet on the other side, there was a time, Nick Chubb this year, I'm sure he upset some people in Vegas, but, was going down the sideline, could have scored and just went down and, they were able to take a knee and run it out. The key to that, though, is that doesn't happen without practice. You need to practice that and have those code words. And it doesn't necessarily have to be every week, but it's something, in my opinion, you install maybe in, if you have spring ball, you cover it in the spring, you cover it in camp, and maybe review those situations, in a walkthrough, and just, again, remind your players that what those code words mean. And, essentially it's that, being able to tag that into a call where they hear that word and recognize that, this situation requires us to play this a little bit differently than any other situation.
There's no doubt, because again, the whole point is that time and score matters. You defend, if you're on defense, if you're winning, you defend different plays than if you're losing. And you just, I've seen so many scenarios. We were getting ready for Liberty again at Lafayette one year, and their star running back who played in the NFL, he broke like a 60-yarder, not against us, but they had broke a 60-yarder. We were getting ready for him. I was watching on tape, and he literally slid and stopped on the 1-yard line, and they ran the clock out. And I thought, man, that's a smart kid. Well, that's a kid who gets it, and it does. Those scenarios come up way more than you believe they're going to. And when they do come up, they are critical. Because you get to that end spot, you need to win the game at that point. And, you got to finish out games. John Gruden said that last night. after the game. He goes, that's on me, but we got to learn to finish games and finish up games. You talk about the not scoring scenario, and like last night, I thought, maybe he should have ran the ball in for the touchdown. Wait as long as he can. They were going to score. But I think the biggest blunder in the history of football to me is when the Patriots beat the Seahawks, when they intercepted the pass. I thought that was the biggest mistake of all time. And I don't mean hindsight. I mean watching it, because the Patriots were going to let them score. Instead, they throw a slant on the 1 yard line or 2 yard line or whatever it was. And I thought, oh, my God, I can't believe that just happened. Like, they're going to let him score. And to take that, it didn't make any sense to me, the whole, that play. And they kind of, I don't know, they seemed to give him a pass, but somewhat. But I just don't know how you do that. But again, been in games where we scored too fast, but I've also been in games where you didn't take the score and you screwed it up. You got to eventually, you got to score too now. That maybe that's what happened last night. Maybe you should have just scored and made them, where they couldn't do a field goal.
Yeah. Well, it's always easier to sit on the back end and go over those situations, but like you said, a lot of it is the preparation. So, Coach, as we wrap up here, because I know you're headed out to practice soon, what recommendations do you have for coaches to be able to look at the time and score aspects of the game and be able to prepare for it, not just as a coach, but as I said before, to make sure you prepare your players that they understand and have some football IQ in those situations?
Well, one thing I think you do, Keith, is when you break down tape, make a column where it has the score. Make a column that has a score. So when you're game planning and you're looking at plays, let's say I'm a defensive guy, so you're looking at plays that when I'm game planning, I'm going to look at, okay, the score's in the balance and the time isn't a factor yet. Does that make sense? Like so you're just like, okay, on 3rd and 3, they do this. On 3rd and 2, they do this. You know what I mean? And try to figure that out. And everybody's, self-scouts themselves some, but try to figure that out. So you pull out the plays where they're not getting beat by a lot or losing by a lot, or the time's a real factor. So I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing is, like I said, it's a long season. Kids are interested in quick videos and stuff. You can pull out links and show them things that have happened. Like, I'm the field goal block coach, so I found a clip where we had blocked a field goal one time to end the game, and we're celebrating. And while we're doing that, the kicker picks it up and runs it to the 1-inch line, and we tackle them to end the game. I mean, you just, that video is invaluable to show players, like, hey, it's not over till it's over. You know what I mean? And, just there's so many scenarios that I think you can show them to teach them. And then, like I said, you need to practice them. But if you have one-word tags that kind of reminds them that, hey, it's 3rd and 20, so let's tag this onto the defense. Let's not jump a 4-yard cut, And again, score and time matter. You have to understand that, and so does field position, obviously. But is it position where they have 2 downs or not? Is it time when they're going to still punt it? Because that matters. I mean, you got everybody back and you're playing, maybe you're rushing 3 guys and you make sure you just catch it in front of you and you dink it off, but the field position matters. You might have just let them kick a field goal, that beats you, or the time matters, and that they're going to use 2 downs. I got to play tighter than that. But anyway, all those scenarios matter. I think you got to go into every game. I mean, I'm the field goal block guy. Like, every game, I think, okay, if he's outside of this distance, I feel good that, he's probably not going to make it. So that matters now when you're calling defenses at the end, because guys get too conservative and you think, yeah, but I'm not defending a touchdown. I'm defending a field goal. So, but again, I think the time thing is, time and score is the biggest factors. There's other factors, but those 2 things are huge when you're just trying to win the football game. It doesn't have to be pretty, but you still got to win it. In the end, we're 9-2. It doesn't matter how pretty it is. They haven't all been pretty, but we got 9 wins.
Exactly. Well, Coach, I appreciate you squeezing us in here on a Sunday. You can follow Coach on Twitter at Coach John Luce. And again, please head over to lfgf.coachesclinic.com and get registered for this incredible opportunity. Again, the early bird pricing is running out on New Year's Eve. Once that clock hits midnight, the pricing does change a little bit, so be sure to take advantage of the early bird pricing. $49 for an individual coach, 5 coaches for $30 a piece, or $150 for that group of 5 coaches. Coach, again, thank you for your time and all you do for the game. I'll be talking to you again soon, I'm sure.
All right. Hey, thanks, Keith. Thank you for all you're doing and helping us out, and do a great job with these podcasts. So I really enjoy listening to them.
Thank you again for listening to the Coaching Coordinator Podcast. Please, if you are enjoying the podcast, head over to iTunes or Spotify and click 5-star for rate. If you have a minute, write a review. It really helps the podcast. Check out our new home for the Coaching Coordinator Podcast. That's at coachandcoordinator.com. And follow me on Twitter at Coach K. Grabowski.